She was brilliant, respected, and invisible to the people who worked beside her. Until one afternoon, laughter echoed across the office, and a bottle of Coca-Cola was poured over her head. The cold liquid stung her eyes, but it wasn't the worst pain she felt that day. They thought it was a joke. They thought she'd stay silent. What they didn't know was that she was married to one of the most powerful men in the country, and he was already on his way. What happened next didn't just change her life. It shook an entire industry. Maya Johnson was the kind of employee every company claimed they wanted but rarely appreciated. A sharp-minded analyst at Crestline Marketing, she had a quiet confidence, the kind that made her work speak louder than her words. Each morning, she arrived early, coffee in hand, greeting the receptionist with a warm smile before diving into complex projects that others found overwhelming. Her innovative marketing algorithm had already boosted client profits by millions, yet her contributions were often dismissed or, worse, claimed by others. Still, Maya kept her focus. She believed that, in the end, results spoke for themselves. But beneath the polished office image, there was something uglier. A culture that looked at her not as the genius in the room, but as an outsider. Whispers in break rooms, subtle eye rolls in meetings, and the quiet exclusion from after-work gatherings were the background noise to her success. She told herself it didn't matter. She had learned to navigate spaces that weren't built for her, to stay composed, to keep moving forward. But what Maya didn't know was that the same undercurrent of prejudice she'd endured for months was about to boil over into an act so humiliating, so cruel, that it would not only change her career, it would ignite a fire she couldn't have imagined. The weeks leading up to that day were a slow, suffocating build. It started small, her ideas in meetings ignored until a colleague repeated them in a louder voice. Credit for major projects quietly reassigned. Emails answered with clipped, dismissive tones while others received warm, collaborative replies. Maya told herself it was just office politics. But deep down, she knew better. Then came the rumors. Whispers that she was too ambitious, that she was lucky to have her job at all. A few coworkers made pointed jokes about her diversity hire status, their smirks lingering just long enough to make her stomach turn. And when she outperformed the company's top marketing team, she noticed how quickly congratulations turned to resentment. Still, Maya pressed on, determined not to give them the satisfaction of seeing her falter. But her silence, her composure, it only seemed to fuel their hostility. What they saw as weakness was actually discipline, and they were about to test it in the cruelest way possible. It happened on a Friday afternoon. The office was buzzing with chatter, the hum of printers, the faint click of keyboards. Maya sat at her desk, finalizing a quarterly report that would secure Crestline a multi-million-dollar contract. Then she heard it, the muffled snickers behind her. At first, she didn't turn around. She had learned to tune it out. But the laughter grew louder, closer, until she felt the sudden, shocking splash. Cold, sticky liquid drenched her hair, soaked her blouse, and pooled on her desk. Coca-Cola ran down her face, stinging her eyes. Gasps erupted across the office, but not everyone was horrified. Some were laughing, loudly. She stood frozen, not because she didn't know what to say, but because she knew that any reaction, any sign of anger, would be twisted against her. Her hands trembled, not from shame, but from a deep, simmering rage she had fought to keep buried for years. Then one of them spoke. "Guess you needed a little refreshment," he chuckled, the others grinning at his side. The humiliation was deliberate. The message was clear: you don't belong here. What they didn't know was that Maya had been documenting everything: screenshots of messages, recordings of whispered insults, copies of falsified reports. And what they could never have imagined was who she would call next. Because less than an hour later, a black SUV would pull up outside Crestline Marketing. And when the doors opened, the man stepping inside wouldn't just be Maya's husband. He'd be the billionaire CEO of one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. And in that moment, the balance of power in that office was about to shift forever. The glass doors swung open with a force that silenced the room. Maya looked up to see Ethan Caldwell, her husband, striding through the lobby in a tailored suit, every step radiating controlled fury. He wasn't here for a meeting. He wasn't here for pleasantries. Conversations died mid-sentence. Laughter evaporated. The three men who had poured the Coca-Cola shifted uncomfortably, their smirks fading as Ethan's eyes locked on them. Without a word, he walked straight to Maya's desk, his gaze scanning her soaked blouse, the sticky puddle still dripping onto the floor. The air in the room felt heavier. Everyone knew who he was, the billionaire tech mogul whose signature could change the fate of entire companies. And right now, his attention was entirely fixed on the people who had humiliated his wife. Ethan's voice was calm, almost too calm. One by one, he pointed to them. You, and you. You're done here. Security will escort you out immediately. His tone left no room for argument. Phones slipped quietly into pockets. Chairs creaked as people leaned away, desperate not to draw his attention. The three offenders tried to speak, to defend themselves, but the words crumbled under his stare. They were escorted out within minutes, their laughter replaced by the echo of footsteps and the click of the security door shutting behind them. But this wasn't the end. Ethan turned to the rest of the office, his voice carrying through every corner. Consider this your reminder, he said. There is zero tolerance for racism in any form, ever. It was the moment the power dynamic shifted completely. The people who had laughed were now staring at their screens, pretending to work, avoiding Maya's eyes. But for Maya, this wasn't just about revenge. It was about something bigger. Because what they didn't know was that she was about to use every piece of evidence she'd collected to dismantle more than just their pride. She was about to dismantle the very system that allowed this to happen. In the days that followed, the story spread beyond the walls of Crestline marketing. Maya's evidence, months of recordings, screenshots, and detailed logs, was delivered to legal teams, human rights organizations, and national media outlets. The company scrambled to contain the damage, but it was too late. The world was watching. The three who humiliated her didn't just lose their jobs, they lost their credibility. And when their shares in the company hit the market, Maya quietly bought them all. From that moment, a portion of Crestline's profits would be redirected into the Maya Johnson Fund, a scholarship program dedicated to training Black youth in technology, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Her patented marketing algorithm, worth millions, was officially registered under her name alone. It became the cornerstone of a global platform that empowered underrepresented communities to break into industries that had long kept them out. Months later, Maya stood on an international stage, accepting the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in using technology as a weapon for social justice. The applause was thunderous, but her words cut through it with quiet power. No one should have to endure humiliation to prove their worth. And if they try, you show them that your dignity is not theirs to take. That day in the office had started as an act of cruelty, but it ended as the spark for a movement that redefined what justice could look like when combined with courage, strategy, and unshakable self-respect. And now, the question is yours to answer. When you see injustice unfolding, will you stand by and watch? Or will you be the one who changes everything? What would you have done if you were in Maya's place? Stay silent or fight back? If her story inspired you, hit the like button so more people hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that prove one voice can change everything.